for the off, our weekly hour of fun and frivolity as we get comics, both working comics and new comics, amateur comics together. We pretty much had the same people now for about the last 3 years, and you'll get to meet them a little bit later on. I'm Mark Sweetman. I host every Monday night. I also call myself the, I got to bring that up here too. Let me see. I have another title for myself, if I can find it here. Here we go. There we go. I'm the host and unqualified tech advisor. The show started off almost 5 years ago with Seth Ressler, who is a local radio guy. He sets up a lot of the YouTube feeds for local radio shows, both here in Detroit and Boston, where he started, and he spent some time in California. Anyway, he asked me 5 years ago during the pandemic, let's get this thing going here. And I suggested the off night and treat it like we did the off night back in the 80s when we were all working 6 and 7 nights a week. And it was rare to get an off night. And usually what we would do is we would hang out at the back of open mics, whether we did them or not. Back then, you really didn't need an open mic to try out your material, because when you were working 6 or 7 nights a week, you had your chance to work out new material on first show Thursday. You know, and some of the people that joined us know what I'm talking about by first show Thursday. Yes, I mean, we worked there were rooms that we worked where we would have 2 shows Thursday, 2 shows Sunday, and 3 on Friday and Saturday. So open mics were pretty much for the amateurs, the people that just wanted to try it out and things like that. Now open mics have become pretty much the whole industry. And it's you'll find in a market like we're in Detroit, and perhaps in New York too. And I've seen it out in LA. I was in LA for a couple months this fall, and there's not a lot of pay going around. The people that are getting paid are the people that book outside these large markets into areas where they keep track of their YouTube and their social media followings. And so they know where to book themselves. And they rent out theaters and sell their own tickets. And that's pretty much what the industry's become. There are still a few. I mean, there's still some of the old time clubs. I've recently been to a show at the Comedy Castle, paid show. I recently went to a show at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, Flappers in Burbank. And those are shows where they're still paying performers. But for the most part, most of the comics now are doing basically volunteer work until they can market themselves. Not a lot of people signing. There's not the big agencies that used to go to clubs and pick up comics and sign them and start booking them. They're all gone. And so anyway, so those days are gone. But when it was the off night, we'd get together, we'd shoot the shit, we'd make fun of the comics that were on stage. We'd do each other's acts once in a while, something I thought about doing. They used to do that at the East Side Club on New York. I'll get, when Sam's out here, he'll remind me which one it is. But on New Year's Eve, they would do it. They would switch acts. They would do somebody else's act because they knew everybody knew everybody's 5 minutes that they did for showcase rooms. Anyway, that's what we do. Like the last few weeks, I've been going over some of the things that we want you to know before we start off here. One, there it is, episode 240. We do them once a week, so that's 240 weeks we've been doing this. We'd like you to watch on YouTube. Now, the YouTube channel, the reason we do it there is because you can link YouTube to other places. We started off here when Seth and I started this almost 5 years ago. We did it on Facebook. We found out just after we started doing that Facebook is very hard to monetize, and it's much easier to monetize through YouTube. So we moved over to YouTube, and it's very easy to link your YouTube to Facebook or anywhere else. So once you get a YouTube link, in fact, there's the YouTube link right there. I talk about this every week with my wife. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Rather than have that goofy one right there that YouTube assigns it, I should probably get one that we can point that to that has a regular name, like YouTube / the Off Night live show or something like that. I'll work on that, but I'm lazy. Anyway, the other thing you might want to know about is this one right here. This is, if I can get it up there. This is if you would like to be part of this show. You can contact me during the week anytime. Facebook is probably the best place. I have both a Mark Sweetman page, and I have an Off Night page. I have an Unclub page. Chili's Comedy Dojo is my page. A lot of ways to get a hold of me. Just tell me you'd like to do the Unclub, the Off Night, and we'll get you on here. You could join today too. Just go to that link right there. If I see you come up on the dashboard page, I'll chat with you offline, and we'll see what you have to contribute to the show, and we may add you. What else we got here? That's all. That's the big thing. Oh, here's the other one. We need you to like and subscribe because this show is now on its own YouTube page. We'd like you to click like button on this particular viewing and then go to the Off Night page. There's the address right there, youtube.com/@theoffnight. And go ahead and subscribe to that. That helps with the algorithms and getting us seen by other people. And when people search for, maybe they want a show about people discussing comedy or current events or cracking wise about things of the world, they will be able to get us through there. All right, normally we begin with Susan's poem, and I see that Susan she warned me that she may not be here for the beginning, but I see her on my dashboard now, so I'm going to bring Susan up. And this is, she is our, every show she begins with a poem based on the week's headlines, and then we try to use that as best we can as our agenda for the show topics. All right. Here, Susan, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You look great as always.
Thank you.
I was telling the guys before we went live, I didn't tell the live audience yet, that you were doing a concert tonight for our memorial service for folks in the community who have passed away. And they may or may not have their own individual one, but this is a group memorial service for those that have passed in the last year. Kind of nice, so sort of like a live in memoriam, like they do on the award shows. So
yes, it's a beautiful program, and the chorus I sing with, we sang at it. Yes, so very solemn occasion. But I have a poem here with the headlines.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you on, and as soon as you see yourself as the only one on screen, that's your cue to go. All right. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Where's that part here? I gotta figure out which button to push. Oh, there it is. All right.
Okay. Headlines this week. All right, here we go. South Korea's president sort of went nuts. Declaring martial law was kind of abrupt. Health executive Brian Thompson murder was blunt. A person apprehended after 5-day-long manhunt. Kash Patel is Trump's choice to lead the FBI. Prosecuting journalists and leakers is his #1 cry. Yet Attorney General William Barr blocked the move because current FBI Director Christopher Wray might disapprove. France's Prime Minister lost a no-confidence vote, really not sweet. Barnier forced a Social Security bill through Parliament this week. And Notre Dame in Paris reopened to the public 5 years after fire. With the building restored, maybe I will join their choir. And that's your poem.
Well, thank you very much. I have just one brief technical correction on that, if I may.
The pronunciation of the French guy?
No, we always excuse French pronunciations. Attorney General William Barr was Attorney General when Kash Patel was first.
That's correct.
He was on before when he was president. When Trump was president last time, he wanted Kash Patel to be the Attorney General,
right?
And William Barr blocked it because he was the Attorney General at the time. or he wanted him to be head
Well,
of the
I
FBI.
ripped that from your headlines you provided, so that
Oh,
was in your headlines.
sorry, my mistake. I
So,
misquoted.
so I
You
should have
you
fact checked,
you
and I
correctly
didn't.
you correctly quoted me, and I was incorrect. So anyway,
Yeah,
as long as
that's
you're
what I get for not fact checking. Anyway, the problem is that the current FBI director, who was also appointed by Trump, is still FBI director. So he would have to be fired or step down
yeah. Well,
at least for 2 more years.
here's something to know about Trump. Just because he liked you today doesn't mean he'll like you.
Anyone else here or just us?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put him on. Just hey, hold your horses. We're getting to that. Anyway, Susan likes to stick around long enough to say hi to everybody. And here's our friend from New York, Sam Greenfield. Hi, Sam.
Ah,
Hi.
Where are you at?
I can't see you though. I just see
I
brown.
yeah.
I am a
I
disembodied
guess
voice.
Oh
those
well.
horses that Mark told me to hold.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
Hey, hi Sam.
Susan, you look great.
Thank
Doesn't
you.
she? Yeah, she's a hottie, that's for sure.
At a concert, I had to gussy up a little bit.
Oh
Gussy
yeah,
up. Gussy up.
that's a great word. All right, here's our friend from Ypsilanti, Michigan, none other than Jason Grant. Everybody, hey.
Hi,
Hey guys,
Jason.
nice poem as always, Susan. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh my God, I can't help but now think of the orgasmic Ernest Borgnine, thanks to Sam's prescient quote a few minutes
Well,
ago.
no, not everybody was not. We were our audience
I
wasn't
didn't
here
hear.
when he gave that quote. Why don't you repeat it for us, Jason? What was that quote?
Oh, well, I don't know if I can deliver it as well as Sam, but
Oh,
he
that's all
suggested
right. You do fine.
this is the face of ecstasy that Ernest Borgnine made with his wife, the charming Ethel Merman, uh, which I mean, I've done a lot of drugs and everything, but there are some things I'd like to blot out of my mind forever and always. And the two of them engaged in connubial bliss.
Tell you what, Jason. You talk about blocking it out of your mind. Every time I hear that they were once married, I say they were, and I've probably been told that a dozen times, but I blot it out all the time. So.
as well
Jason,
we
you and
should.
I have known each other longer
Well,
than
not in
they
the
were
biblical.
married.
Yeah, they say not in the biblical way, but yeah, you're right. I mean, oh gosh. Well,
Well,
at
maybe
any
if she didn't sing, they could enjoy each other's company.
well,
Now, Susan, I gave you the headlines, my notes for the headlines before yesterday, when the Assad regime fell
yes.
in
Yes,
Syria.
and I saw that on the news, but I unfortunately work full time or fortunately, but my job gets in the way of my writing poetry, so I have to be a good steward. And,
You know what amazes me about the Assad regime? I thought this guy was impenetrable, and when the rebels revolted, it was like, oh, you want me to leave? All right, well, all right, fine.
Well,
Yeah,
one
well,
thing
you
I
know what?
learned.
His dad was impenetrable, but just like second generation heads of companies in the United
Yeah.
States, the kids
Or
are
like
always through. The
or like
kids
the
are always through.
Duvaliers.
Exactly.
so that just happened. We'll probably have it in next week's poem as
Oh, by the way,
more
real
news
quick,
comes out and more stories.
Right.
real quick, that guy on the subway in New York,
Yeah, he
who
got
was,
off too.
yeah, he was found not guilty.
Yeah, the new Bernie Getz.
That mom was very disappointed, but she could still pursue a civil action.
She ain't
Just like
getting.
No,
She's
just like the
getting
Goldmans.
nothing.
It's like the Goldmans did against OJ.
well, a civil suit, I mean, would be a lower bar
Yeah, it'd be
because it's just clear and convincing
Clear and
evidence,
convincing.
right.
And you don't have to get them.
beyond a reasonable doubt as
Right,
criminal court.
And
So
you don't have to get all 12 to agree on it either.
You know Mark Cohen, right?
Mark Cohen, yeah, I know him.
Mark Cohen is a comedian from New York. I know although he's been in LA for years now.
Right.
And he was a guy who was sitting on the subway when those 5 kids tried to roust him, and he
Oh,
shot them, Bernie Getz.
Bernie
And he
Getz. Okay,
shot,
he was he on the same car?
yeah,
Oh
and
man.
he
Wow.
and when the guy was laying there, Bernie Getz said, "You don't look that bad. Here, try this," and shot him.
Had another one.
So Mark did this. I still laugh when I think about it. Mark did this parody. All 5 guys were brown.
Oh no.
Uh,
Too
I remember
soon.
I remember Dennis Miller's line when he was acquitted, and they said the Daily News says gets off. He says, "Hey, that was the same headline they used the night he shot him."
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
wow!
Okay.
Oh my goodness. That's wow. That's hey, there you go. That's a lot. So, well, what are you gonna do?
Well, Andy, now wait a minute. Those of you that
I'm
are regulars may have noticed that Andy Jensen has not been with us for the last 4 weeks. The man, after Halloween, used to be after
He has
Thanksgiving.
to go to the North Pole and
He
get
has to go to
busy.
the North Pole, and because he's one of Santa's helpers, and he's helping all of the elves get Santa ready for Christmas, and so
Meet Andy Jensen.
Andy, yes, and he'll be back in January. Maybe he'll be back the week between Christmas and New Year's.
And I hope I'll be back next week. And I'm going to say goodnight. Got to get out of my concert garb. It's all flouncy.
Yeah, get out of
Not
that.
a little flouncy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to leave me on the show while you get all unflounced.
Yes, that's right.
I
I've
believe
been-
I believe it's deflounced.
I'm
Yes,
sorry.
I have to
Deflounced.
unflounce. I mean, it's these
Now,
these
if I
wear,
was a
like,
if I
ridiculous.
was a technical genius, I could put up on the screen and let the audience decide whether it's unflounced or deflounced. But,
Oh, tell them to own their own goddamn business.
yeah, okay. All right, Susan. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thanks.
Love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Nice, Susan.
Good night.
Hello, Jane.
Gosh,
Jane, you ignorant
slut. You know.
She hated Belushi. Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Well, Belushi, you were talking about a guy who was mean to women. That guy. I mean, it's nice. How his wife put up with him, I have no idea. She should have stabbed him in the chest when she had
my
the chance.
favorite quote from her was after Bob Woodward wrote his book, I think it was Wired.
Right.
After he wrote the book, I think she died also, the ex-Mrs. Belushi.
Jackie.
Yeah. This is what she said. I didn't like the book. He didn't talk about how drugs could be fun.
Wow.
It killed you, bitch. It killed.
Wow.
Well,
did we lose Sam?
Sam?
I got cut off and I don't know why.
Oh dear.
Well, we'll put him up when he comes back on.
Oh no. Well, how was the?
Meanwhile, look at. Hold on, I'm doing a mirror image of Ernest Borgnine.
You got to admit, Emperor of the North. I mean, I don't know how many times did you get high and watch that on whatever channel it was on back in the day. And
I saw it. I saw it at the theater.
Whoa!
We had a very, in my neighborhood, my little neighborhood in Waterford, Michigan, about, I'm going to say about 30 miles outside of Detroit. It was even further away than Pontiac. We had a small little theater that opened up about the time I started making money and paper routes and golf course caddy and things like that. And so the movies were about the only thing we could do. But because it was a very small conservative community, everything was G or PG. And Emperor of the North was a PG film, if you recall. It was violent, but there were no titties in it, so they could show it to us. So
God, I miss titties. I mean.
Did you see the picture? Oh, Oh no, I sent that to Sam. You didn't see it. There's a picture of this New York CEO shooter.
Yeah.
And he,
Smiling his ass off.
hey, but
Well,
did you see the shot of him in the with the six pack, the abs,
Yep.
the buff abs? I was
You
thinking,
know, if I was about to go to jail, that wouldn't be the one I'd put up.
no,
yeah.
no, because he's going to be, someone right now is going, well, he's a bit on the skinny side, but after a few weeks, he'll be fine. Have him scrubbed and sent to my cell. It's
That's
just,
right.
it, I mean, he's going to be spending the rest of his life in, oh, I mean, you know what, in New York prison, do you want to spend the rest of your life in Sing Sing? I mean, it wouldn't bother me that much as long as I had, like, mouthwash. I'd be good. But, well, I'm all about the hygiene, Sam. That's just the way I work.
Well, you would say that a lot in Rikers. Every guy you walk by, hygiene.
I, well, I am what I am. And it's like, well, Mr. Voller, I'm sorry, Mr. Grant, we're throwing you in prison for the rest of your life. And I'm like, yo, you mean where the bad men are? all caged together like animals? Really?
They're getting rid of Rikers.
Oh, really?
Really? You gonna build a new Rikers, or what are they gonna do?
Yes.
Wow, Rikers 2.0 kind of thing. Will it be better than the new Yankee
I saw-
Stadium?
A better cafeteria.
I saw a short documentary this week on this. Well, since we met last, I don't know if it was this week or last week, but on Roosevelt Island. That used to be a penal and a sane asylum island too. Before
Now it's condos.
yeah, they turned
What?
it resident. Yeah.
We almost lived there.
What
Oh,
is
really?
the island
It looks
that
very nice.
You guys have an island there that you used to use for, like, TB people and communicable
Yeah,
diseases.
that was Roosevelt Island. It was an asylum for mental health and people that were deemed not healthy enough to ever recover. And it had a
Wow.
prison on it. And now
They
it's all
still have.
now
They
it's
still
all
have.
yeah, they still have that. And they have a school there now. Didn't they put a college on that island too?
Excuse me. Is that kid the one who sang "Tomorrow Belongs to Me"?
Who else could it be, Sam? Yes, that is the young sheriff who probably got his jawbone shot off somewhere out of Kiev, or maybe was sodomized by a Russian prisoner, a war, the warden, after taken prisoner or something along those lines. It didn't end well for a lot of the young men of the Hitler Youth, surprisingly enough. Not a whole lot of them came back in one piece, if you know what I mean.
Go figure.
Well, some would say they had it coming. What am I supposed to say? You got to admit, though, in the movie was a very effective scene. Because I mean,
Oh yeah.
they're absolutely chilling. When they're at the beer garden and they're having a nice little polite conversation, and someone strikes up a stirring Nazi ballad / war cry. And of course, we, the audience, we know how this goes, right? I mean, we know that this does not end particularly well for a lot of people.
Many years ago, I was in a drugstore in Oneonta, New York, where I used to live, and I'm looking at I'm in the shampoo area, and it was also the hair dye area.
Area? How big is the store that it has a shampoo area? I mean,
Well, no, shampoo and hair dye.
Oh, okay.
Oh, who knows? Anyway, so they're look. I'm looking at the hair dye, and it shows these.
Bella.
It shows these three guys. Ah! It shows these three guys. Oh my God! You know what they say about her? They used to say that she doesn't wear a mini skirt because it'll reveal her balls. Anyway, so I'm looking, and there's these three young people, right? Two blonde guys and one blonde woman, because it was for hair dye. And they were really good looking and, wholesome. And one of them was Nick Nolte.
How about
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, Nolte, when he back, I mean, nowadays he looks like 10 miles of bad Texas road. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd still go home with him, no doubt. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say no to him. But back in the day, He was in what? Was it Rich Man Poor? It was one of those.
Yes.
Yeah,
early
Tom
TV
Jordache.
Yes. And I just remember watching that with my parents in the same room, and I'm like, okay, don't say anything, keep quiet. They're going to figure out
You've ever
something.
played his brother,
Oh Christ, wasn't Jeremy Irons, was it?
Peter
No.
Strauss?
Peter
Peter
Strauss.
Okay.
Still a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
You know who
Who-
passed away in the last couple of years without much fanfare?
Who, Peter?
William. No, I'm just thinking of actors from that era. William Hurt.
Yes.
He
Yes,
passed
and
on.
that-
And there
I
really
thought
wasn't
there was
much.
some fanfare.
No, okay. I didn't hear that much about it. So,
Well,
and of course, every year, the Academy Awards or the Emmys or whoever does the in memoriams, there's always somebody they forget.
yes.
Can I tell you something?
I don't know why they don't.
No
run
one
that.
does a worse job of in memoriam than the Academy Awards. They do it the screen from 100 feet away. You
Yeah,
can barely read who the fuck it is.
yeah,
It's terrible.
yeah.
Terrible the way they do it. You
And
know,
it's gotten to be a little political, and I don't mean political in terms of right left, but I mean like sort of like we all hated them or something along those lines. And
or someone who had a better agent.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
An
precisely.
agent in death. How about that? And you
There you
still have an
go.
agent in death.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
So
And
I'm sure those agencies are saying to their prospective clients, "Oh, you got to have us as an agent." I mean, look at this guy. He dead, and he still made in memoriam.
And they have agents in memoriam.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, Ed Herman, former actor, voiceover actor, he's been dead for about 8 years, but his voice is still alive. And apparently, they have brought it back to life with AI and are licensing it. And
He was in the vampire movie, right?
yes, he was, and he was in Paper Chase. I mean, he was one of those guys who just had a ton of, 5 and unders, or sometimes a few more. Sometimes he'd be on a sitcom here and there.
And
but
he
a
was in
working-
Oz.
Yeah, he was a
Well,
working actor.
You
Period.
heard that James Earl Jones did a lot of recording for as long as he could, just to get his voice, and then signed with somebody who would allow his voice to be used after he was gone.
Well, if you're alive and you consent to it, that's one thing, right? I mean, I think we can agree to that. But it's when your family sort of like digging up your. But remember the John Wayne TV commercial some years ago where he's playing a coach, and they managed to digitally dub in some other things. And basically, the Duke was out there hustling, I don't know, Diet Coke or a syphilis drug or something. I don't know. But yeah, well, it's about the same.
A catheter. He was hawking a catheter.
I'm John Wayne for catheters.
I'm John Wayne. You may want one of them sissy catheters that you really can't feel, but the John Wayne catheter, you'll feel that for sure.
Some men need more catheter than others, and I'm a man who knows.
Are you a man that can handle a John Wayne catheter?
In fact, that is John Wayne in the middle, using the catheter.
Mr. Wayne, after midnight, you have a different appeal. That's, by the way, that mask on that Gorn creature there actually comes from an episode of The Outer Limits. And back then, all these people, to save money, would all go to the same prop warehouses. So you'd see a lot of props from the mid to late 60s and from old science fiction movies reused in the Irwin Allen and Star Trek and other episodes.
I thought it was from a Korean game show. Anyway.
Nowadays, I mean,
Yeah.
now when you've got infinite money, I mean, what can you say? The Star Trek was made like for $200,000 an episode, and what could you? I mean, even if you adjust for inflation, what are you going to shoot nowadays for that kind of money?
Hello,
Speaking of-
everybody. My name is
Yeah.
Kash Patel, and I am planning to close the entire FBI building in
Yeah.
tribute to Mr. Trump.
Yep.
Oh, yes. And then we will sit everybody down, and they'll be forced to eat Navy bean soup from Fillmore High in Brooklyn.
Hold on.
Yeah, what's
If
going to
you're
happen?
if
What's
you're
going
gonna
to
do that-
happen? What's going to happen when everybody just sits down and says, "Fuck it, we're done," and just
if you're
doesn't
gonna
do
use
anything
that
anymore?
voice, if you're going to do Kash Patel, I'm going to put Peter North up there, and hopefully the two will associate them together.
Is that Peter North?
That's Peter North, who is from Canada. Hence the
Who's Peter North?
he was an entertainer.
Okay.
Worked in movies. Worked in a specific kind of cinema.
Was he a stand-in for the Osmond brothers or something?
Oh, he could stand in for several men. He, although you'd know the difference if you got anywhere near him. He was renowned for a certain attribute and the need of a lot of paper
And
towels.
I'm guessing it wasn't what we're looking at now.
Well, not entirely. I mean, I have cropped the photo, shall we say?
Is that his 8x10 from Baywatch or something?
That is his headshot. And yeah, and he also had a career, and he was in both heterosexual as well as gay films. Although he's one of those guys who like to try and deny it. He said, It's like we have. It's right. Look,
see what I did there, Jason? I put your name up there, Jason, with his picture.
And
so Peter North was not only his name, but also the neighborhood he lived in.
Well, he was called that because he was from Canada. So he's actually French Canadian, and that was his nom de plume when working in the hetero field. Matt Ramsey was the name that he used when he was in a more masculine role, although he played the more feminine part in the masculine films and did his best to live it down.
So Maddie, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, and
no fags or fatties.
Yeah, which until the Germans came around was something that was said, but once the guys from Dusseldorf showed up, that changed. And what can I or Texas, about the same thing really. And that's I just like to have a certain can I say?
Well, that reminds me. Gabe, my son Gabe, moved back from California. We drove back together after my son Michael's wedding, and I watched The Offer with him, all 10 episodes. I'd seen it before, but I wanted to see it again. And after that, we decided to watch the Godfather trilogy.
Yes.
And 1 and 2 great films. We cannot make it. We cannot make it through number 3. I mean,
Can I tell you something?
Even the director's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Even the director's recut, it's hard to watch.
I saw Godfather 2 today.
Yes.
What an unbelievable film. Jesus.
Isn't it a great film? Yeah.
By the way,
both
my 2 favorite actors in Godfather 2 are Finucci.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don Finucci.
Okay. And the landlord.
Yeah. Well, he's coming in and begging for his life.
The one who's talking a mile a minute because he's trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. He was Calabrese. And
yes.
And
ask about me in my neighborhood. They'll tell you I'm a person who, the rent stays the same.
In fact, I drop it. I drop it. And De Niro plays that. I mean, what a surprise! He's a great actor in a great role, and he does it perfectly. So that's that great movie. I love G.D. Spradlin playing the senator in that movie. Because again, Spradlin, who knew how to be a ham.
And your greasy and your shark skin suits and your oily hair, Mr. Corleone.
Coming out here acting like you're good Americans. Senator, we're both part of the same hypocrisy, but never let you think that it involves my family.
Fine. And then what does Michael say? Let's get a hooker and stab her to death and throw him in the bed with her.
And get some pictures while we're at it. I had no idea. We'd done it before. She was laughing. I remember that much.
She's so beautifully underplayed. Duvall. So beautifully throughout that movie. Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's sitting there with a dead, bloody, stabbed woman. He's like, Senator, this woman has no family. It will be as if she never existed.
And by the way, that girl was really pissed off because it turned out to be an under 5.
Well, how do you think Mr. Ed felt? I mean,
I can't get a job in this town anymore.
Ed, we offered you Godfather 1. You said no.
I used to be a talking horse. Now I can't get anything.
Ed,
I can't get arrested.
I
we-
can't
we-
get arrested in this town.
we told you
Oh,
you had fewer lines than Duvall, but don't worry, everyone would be talking about you. We said you'd be the water cooler moment. You didn't want that, so we called up somebody else. What do you want from us, Ed? What do you want? You know?
So Coppola hires for number 3. Coppola hires his daughter to play
Oh my
Michael's.
God!
No. He did not hire her. It was
Oh,
supposed
what
to
happened?
be. It was supposed to be. What's her name?
Winona Ryder was originally.
Winona Ryder, but she had pneumonia,
Oh,
Well,
okay.
and so
But
he
anyway.
had to find someone, and he got her.
Well, let's just say Sofia Coppola is a much
Oh.
better director than she was an actress.
And an
If you
Oscar winner for screenplay.
Yeah,
you had just
and Duvall didn't do the
3
third one
because of money.
because he found out how much Diane Keaton was going to get.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, I got to make more than her," and they wouldn't do it, and so he said, "All right, I'm out." And
Well,
Diane
that's like
Keaton
like
wasn't even
Richard
in.
Castellano. He
Yeah.
wouldn't do Godfather 2.
Well, that was also his wife was his manager, and I guess she was the genuine pain in the backside.
What
And
a kiss of death that shit is. My wife will be my manager.
Yeah, and that happened to Jeffrey Hunter with Star Trek. Although,
Have you met Randy Quaid?
yeah.
Oh my God!
oh
my God! That is.
Oh,
When are they doing the Randy Quaid movie? I can't wait for that biopic. That's going to be. That should be a musical. In
it
fact,
should be shot on 8
You know what?
millimeter.
I'm gonna start looking. I'm gonna make notes on that. I love writing campy musical comedies, and I think the Randy Quaid story would be perfect.
I met Randy Quaid at Stand Up New York, and he got really pissed at me.
Why?
Really mad. Well, and this is why. There are some people, and you see them, and you say to yourself, "All right, you're a good actor," and he was a good actor at one time.
Yeah.
You're a good actor, but stop talking to me like you matter.
Mm.
I'm not
Yep.
being funny. Stop talking to me like you have some. So he walks up to me, and this is when he was there with his first wife, Emma, who was really nice. His second wife was a wacky bitch, but his first wife was very nice. And he taps me on the shoulder, and I'm in a horrible mood, not because of him. And he goes, Do you know who I am? I go, yeah, you're Dennis Quaid's brother.
That's gotta, yeah, that had to make him feel good.
And he says, you know who I am? I said, I just told you. He says, but you know who I am? And I'm like, oh God, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to insult him. He's going to punch me in the mouth, and I can't afford this shit. So I said, yes, you're Randy Quaid. You're a wonderful actor. You know what else I am? I'm really weird. I said, I don't care. I don't care. I just don't. I said, if that's your opening line when you meet a woman, that's why you're with her.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, but that's enough of us. That Randy Quaid is enough of us. He was a Saturday Night Live cast member.
Yep.
He was in Cinderella Liberty.
Yeah.
God,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a great movie.
He was in Brokeback Mountain.
Yep.
That's right.
And
he was in National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yep. The guy he was in Last Picture Show.
Yes, he was.
He
was a bigger star than his brother.
He had a great line in the
time.
sequel to Last Picture Show, which is called Texasville, and it's
Never
not
saw that.
It's not the Last Picture Show, but it's still very good. I encourage you to watch it, but don't expect the same thing because it's not. But
Did they do it in black? Did they do it in black and white?
No, it's in color, and it's set in the 1980s when the Texas oil market had gone to hell, and Quaid's character is playing a shady banker, and all the creditors are sort of like catching up with him, and they're both watching a newscast about someone who's been arrested, and he looks at the TV and goes, "Damn, they're going to send me to prison. I don't think I'm going to like butt fucking." It just the way he delivers the line. I mean, it's a funny line, and again, no one saw the movie, sadly, but it deserves to be seen. Although they do change some things around. I mean, the problem is that you're trying to make Citizen Kane Part 2. It's not going to work. It's nearly impossible to do.
Yeah.
But it was as funny as the Last Picture Show was sad, if that makes any sense. It had
What was the?
Annie Potts is in it. She's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
What
What was the last? What was other aside from 1950s and 60s low budget science fiction films? What is the latest year setting for any black and white film?
Gosh, well, geez, Woody
There's
Allen.
Jarmusch.
The one with Reese Witherspoon.
Oh yeah, what was the name of that one?
What about Woody Allen? Didn't he do was it Interior? No,
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Manhattan. Well, I think Nebraska.
Raging Bull.
I think Nebraska was later than. Oh, Raging Bull was late. It was
Yeah.
in the 40s. I'm talking about the setting. So Nebraska with Bruce Dern and the kid from Saturday Night Live. Can't
Jason
think of his name.
Sudeikis.
Yeah. Anyway, Nebraska
And Stacy Keach.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was Nebraska was probably the latest setting of any film, which was basically they shot it as a current day film.
Look how happy did you see how happy Borgnine looked with his last wife?
Yeah.
She made more money.
And look
than he
at
did.
look at how sad E.G. Robinson is to be eaten. You know, as Soylent Green.
But boy, this
Emmanuel
again,
Eisenberg.
in a movie that is not the greatest science fiction film ever, doesn't he deliver the goods in that movie?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the thing. He's what I remember most about that film.
Where's your Moses now? Yeah.
Is that McMurray?
Yes,
that?
it is.
Is that?
And what's her name?
Barbara Stanwyck.
Thank you. I always want to say Joan Blondell, and it's like, no, it's not Joan Blondell. But yeah, that's
My favorite. Anytime somebody shows me Fred McMurray, I always use this line from My Three Sons. Well, as long as you boys are having a good time.
Now that would be. Now there's another film I'd like to see is because McMurray used to come in and do all his shooting in like about 16 days for the whole season. You know what I mean? Everything else was shot. Yes, everything else was because he was a huge star.
Yeah,
and I'll do television, but especially as the series became popular and they were going to renew it for another season, give him more money, he would reduce the number of days he was working. So they had to have all the scripts done and ready to go, and he would come in and shoot his shots. If you look at the way it's cut together, too, you kind of get the idea that that's what happened.
Well, you know what else he did? You know who else did that? Chris Noth.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, who's that? And what name is that?
Law and Order, Mike Logan.
Oh, okay. All right. Fred McMurray and Come Up and See Me Sometime. Mae West.
Yeah.
Made more money in their San Fernando Valley real estate purchases and investments than they did in their Hollywood careers.
You know who made a huge amount of money that had nothing, well, that had something to do with not being an actor?
Ryan Reynolds.
Lion Wagner.
Oh, really?
What did
he make his money on?
He rented out trailers.
Wow.
There
what
you
a
go.
Good idea. I know Lucy and Desi made a fortune out of I Love Lucy, and they used the money to buy what was left of RKO, which they turned into Desilu. And
then they sold that. Then they sold. Now, who did they sell
Paramount.
Desilu to?
Paramount.
Who did they sell Desilu to? Because they sold Desilu back in the.
They sold it to Paramount,
that
was after Desi had bailed out. She had to bail out. She had to buy out Desi, and then a year later, she turns around and sells it to Paramount. So I mean, she walked away with a shit ton of cash.
Well, the thing that Desi did was that he went to RKO and said, "Would you mind if we kept the rerun of this?"
Yeah, and RKO said,
"Yeah." Reruns. What do you mean reruns? Well, in other words, if I Love Lucy shows again, we could. Yeah, shit.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Whatever. Yeah, it's all yours. You're
Yeah,
paying
good
for
luck
the
getting
film.
good luck getting people to watch it again.
Right, exactly. That is precisely right. And well, speaking of catheters, here's John Wayne in his catheter outfit.
And he's in the catheter outfit right there. He's got
Maybe,
that spike on his head there.
Genghis Khan didn't have a catheter, but you
He
could.
just- yeah,
Worst
yeah.
Halloween costume ever.
I thought it was the one where my parents dressed me up as the main character from Zardoz, and then I found out it wasn't even Halloween. And,
I'm just picturing a little Jason dressed up as
well, then they told me I had to go with the man in the van for half an hour and give me half the money. But it was the 70s and we needed rent, so whatever.
Do you know what movie, when I watch it, and I don't watch it a lot, but when I watch it, I think to myself, I have never seen an actor who looked like at any moment he would go, I can't do this. I just can't fucking do this. And it was George Sanders playing a biblical character in Solomon and Sheba.
Okay.
He just looks like I just can't.
For me,
Joel Gray, ladies and gentlemen. There's Joel Gray.
Joel Gray.
Nice man.
Yeah. Interesting actor. I mean,
Cabaret's been on my movies to rewatch too.
Mount to that and Dr. Zhivago. I've been wanting to see that again. I've never seen it. I've seen it once at the Michigan Theater.
So depressing.
Well, it's Russian. I mean,
That's true.
I read a history of the Russian Civil War recently, and every page is like, and then entire village was slaughtered and heads were stuck on pikes. Next page. Then things got worse. I mean,
then the shit really hit the fan.
Exactly. Yeah, and then Stalin got angry. Right. Yeah. It's just like, oh my God. It's just like it's horrible. They lost 20 million people after World War One.
Did they look behind the fridge?
They didn't look in the covers. They didn't look in the gulags. Although they probably find them up there. I mean, it's just people don't understand how crazy the last 100 years have been. I don't know.
It's really the last 100 years is really the only time we've really kept track of every single freaking thing that's happened every second of the day. So.
Granted, I mean, when the Aztecs butchered 300,000 people in the course of 24 hours, that was
who knew about it?
Yeah.
Who knew
exactly.
about it?
I mean, there's a reason why the Mayans were not beloved amongst
all those in the Bible. There's days where 10 to 70,000, depending on which day you're talking about in the Bible, 10 to 70,000 people were killed. When did we hear about it? When the printing press came along.
Yeah,
1500 same movie, Double Indemnity.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what it is. Yes. Yeah. God,
Great line. I wonder why you feel that way. I wonder why you wonder.
The double entendres from back then. I mean, even from the
you had to double entendre back then. That was
it was.
You had to get by the Hays Code.
Exactly, but it made people be less lazy. You couldn't just come out and say things and whatnot. And I still remember as a young man, as a 3 or 4 year old, asking our next door neighbor. With my mom, and she was about 18 months. I mean, she was with child. And I said, "Are you pregnant?" And my mother turned around and slapped the shit out of me and said, "Excuse me, my son's poor manners. He wants to know if you are expecting." Because
my father did that, and the woman wasn't even pregnant. He was just a dick.
Well, he was just. I was just told you had to say expecting. You could. Bad girls got pregnant. My mom was in that last generation of women that had to go out with gloves. Remember that? I mean, I go out with gloves now. But that's because I'm paid extra for the gloves.
Even redneck women like your family? I mean,
yeah. Do you know what, Mark? We wore shoes. We learned how to use indoor plumbing without being too terrified by the flushing noise. We washed our hands after wiping our backside with something besides a newspaper or a corn cob.
I never saw the point of that.
Well, washing your hands? You're right. Neither did I.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, yeah, it didn't kill everybody, did it? I mean, if you got a little whatever, you survived. There you go.
You go up to a friend, you pat him on the back, and that's how you wipe.
I'm
My
glad I didn't grow up next to you and in high school, but never mind that.
You remember Mary Tyler Moore Show, right?
Absolutely.
I was watching it the other day. The best line I've ever seen on that show. It was Ted Baxter, and he's with Mary, and they're at a convention, a radio convention, and he is being hit on by this stunning, hot brunette, and he just married Georgette, and there's a line in it where she says, "Well, I have to get going now. The maid's about to turn down my bed." And she goes, "Oh, Ted, I can't imagine any woman turning down your bed." And he's like, "Oh, oh, oh." And then he goes, "Mary, I don't know what to do. I mean, she's just unbelievable." And Mary says, "Oh, Ted, how good looking could she be?" And he says, "Are you kidding? Next to her, you're a dog." Oh my God.
God.
uh,
Who even thought that, again, MTM, her and Grant Tinker cleaned up because they own their production.
Hill
They own,
Street Blues.
yes.
Yep.
I mean, a whole raft of, I mean, granted, if she had just spent the money for a more expensive shotgun with a safety on it, she'd have someone to will it to, but it didn't quite work out that way. Oh, but, oh well, these things happen.
You know what she died of? She was a diabetic.
Diabetic, yeah. Yeah, her son died of lead poisoning, and
hey, I'm a diabetic. What am I going to die of?
well, hopefully not
Being
lead
so
poisoning.
sweet.
Oh, Sam, stop it! You're inflaming my loins when you talk.
Can I
that
tell
way.
you something? Maybe one of you can explain it, but there are so many men that I have encountered who absolutely thought I was gay.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a guy named Peter Goodstein who was an agent, and he said to me, I'll never forget this. He goes, "Listen, the show's over now. You want to come back to my place?"
No.
And I said, "Well, I was actually going to go home."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh."
Oh dear.
So I go home, and I said to the woman I was living with, I said, Do you think I give off a gay vibe?" And she goes, "No, but you're cute and guys want to fuck you."
I want that on my tombstone. I want that on my tombstone. Oh God. I mean, well, that's yeah.
What's his name? Alan Havey. This is such a great line.
Yes.
He was doing dinner theater in Florida, and this actor, and he'll never say his name, which I respect. After the show's over, he says to Alan, "Listen, I'm the show's wrapping up, and I was wondering, would you like to come up to my hotel room, smoke a joint, watch a little TV?" And Alan says, "I really would, but I have to get up at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so I just don't think I can." And he goes, "No, we won't stay long, just blah, blah, blah." And he says, "No, I can't." And Alan said, and the guy says to Alan, "I won't bite." And Alan says, and then it hit me. I'm on a date.
Yeah.
And I'm playing hard to get.
Very funny.
Well, all I can say is that there is oh, Sam, you want to talk about someone who really didn't want to be in the movie? Here we go. Rosie Greer, Ray Milland. At this point, Ray Milland.
Oh my God.
Ray Milland is going, "What happened? What
happened?
I'm an Academy Award winner. How did this happen?
How did this happen to me?
What cursed me? What?" And I'm behind this guy.
That is something.
He couldn't even get in the way of Sirhan Sirhan and Bobby Kennedy, and here I am strapped next to him. and yet, oh yeah, oh my God. Speaking of which, have you ever read or heard the audio essay that Alistair Cook was there the night that Bobby Kennedy was murdered, and he did a Letters from America, and occasionally it gets replayed here and there. It is so compelling. Cook was an amazing essayist, and then he could turn around and read his essays, which gave him that additional dimension. He was an amazing talent, and sadly missed.
They
Rosie
look like
Greer.
they're stuck in a toilet bowl,
I think
don't they?
Milan would. Can you imagine how much gin they had to pour down his throat to get him in that costume? The
That
thing with
reminds me. That reminds me. I've been binge watching Blue Bloods. You know, it's an Irish Catholic family of cops,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
It is stunning how much booze that family drinks.
Oh, Sweetman is an Irish name, and in fact, my mother's name is Beneducci, and it was Irish and Italian wedding, so they had to get a Polish priest just to keep the peace at the wedding, you know, because I always used to joke the big thing between the families was it was beer drinkers against wine drinkers, you know.
But I mean, it's just that's fucking wine and booze. It's just Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you knew about the Irish.
Well, you know that my favorite joke is God did not want the Irish to rule the world because how do you know? He invented whiskey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you've heard
Well,
the other one, the British Empire. The sun never set on the British Empire because God never trusted the English in the dark, and which.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm about to say I thought that was a good one. You know,
Kneel before Zod.
Zod. Terrence Stamp is so macho in that movie. Oh my God, not so much in the desert, you know, Queen of the Desert one, but underrated actor. I mean,
How about the Limey?
Yes, he's so good in that. God damn. And of course they're intercutting that movie Poor Cow, which I guess Soderbergh said he had to purchase the movie in order to use it, but he did. And but it's perfect because they're able to do those flashback scenes. I mean, Steven Soderbergh doesn't make movies anymore, does he? I mean, sadly,
I don't think he does. Wait a
He
minute.
does. He produces.
We're gonna find out. We only got 3 minutes left, so I don't have much time to find out, but we're gonna find out.
Just like John Sayles, who again,
Well, you know what they do. You know what they do in those movies with Terrence Stamp. Their punishment in Superman 2 was that they stuck those 3 people in a record album.
Yes. And just kind of sent them.
Where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
They wrote that just for Gene Hackman. And what's interesting is, you know,
and he did it unbilled.
Yes. And Hackman was being considered, believe it or not, for the lead role in the Brady Bunch. It was between him and Robert Reed. And they decided to go with Robert Reed. And again, I could not imagine Gene Hackman in the Brady Bunch is a very different TV series. You know, Greg's gotten the shit kicked out of him for mouthing off. You know, Alice looked at him sideways. The roast was not done properly and it was thrown.
Oh, Soderbergh had a film. Soderbergh had a film this year.
He did. What was it?
Presents. Lucy Liu, Julia Fox, Chris Sullivan. Lucy Liu was the big name in that one.
I'll have to look it up.
Anyway, before that, it was 2017. Let me see what film that was. In 2017, he did Logan Lucky. And before that, it was 2012 with Magic Mike.
Huh.
I can't believe it. Did he do Magic Mike? Hold on, let me take a look.
Hello, Liz.
Wasn't she great in that movie, especially the massage scene, you know, which I can't believe they managed to get through the censors in 1962. And yeah.
4 hours.
Yes, what a great movie. What an amazing movie. Rex Harrison.
Magic Mike was directed by Steve Soderbergh.
All right.
Well, that's our hour tonight, guys. We did it, the 3 of us. Actually, you know what? With the 3 of us and Susan, Andy's really dragging us now. I gotta tell you.
I miss Andy.
I miss Andy too.
Andy, Coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook.
Great line. That's a great line. Anyway, I'll talk about this
Hello, Betty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you nailed it. You got it. Damn, Sam,
Let's
you're
keep
good.
abreast of the movies.
All right. You guys can take care of this after we go off the air. We're done here in a few
Oh,
seconds.
I'm
right.
going to sleep now.
Thanks for showing up. We're here every Monday night at 8:00, 5 p.m. Eastern time or Western Pacific
Whatever.
time. You know, it's not 8:00 Eastern time. Join us again next week. Good night, everybody.
Love you guys. See you next week.
See you next week, man.